This is a 1998 Pontiac Trans Sport minivan, and it's served us well, but we've got a little problem with this annoying ticking underneath the dashboard. And after looking all over for help online and videos on how to deal with this, I couldn't find one and thought I would make my own. I did discover after some research that this is caused by an air blend door or a damper in the AC system that controls where the air is flowing from, and in my case it's the one that controls whether you're getting recirculated air from the cabin or fresh air from outside. Instead of coming in underneath the dash like I originally thought, you don't have to remove the glove box, you don't have to tear out the firewall down there or remove this part of your dashboard. You can get to this directly from the top if you first remove this trim piece, which I've already done, and then look down here and remove this entire front piece, which just snaps into place. You got to be careful though, because I don't know if you can see that, there's some wires that connect this in, and so I've left the wires in place, and I'm just going to kind of rotate this out of the way. And with that out of the way, I'm going to try to show you what's making the noise here. This piece here is the door itself, and it's controlled by a motor right over here. This is the motor, and the piece that's sticking is just the arm that's trying to turn this door. I'm going to leave that there while I switch my air conditioner controls from outside air to recirculating air. And the noise gets louder. The motor just changed directions and it's trying to move that door, but the splines are stripped and it's stuck. Okay, a little update. During the removal, I found a power connector that comes into the bottom of the motor, and I just unclipped that and pulled it out of the way. And so far I've identified a couple of places where this is mounted. The first one is right there in the front, and I removed that with a just a small socket. It's 7/32 is the socket size. And the other one is directly opposite. It's back here, and you might have to remove this piece of insulation here. I'll let you know how it works out. Alright, good news. I was able to get the second bolt out. There's only two, and there's our removed part. And to get to that second bolt, I did just have to kind of maneuver this insulation forward to make room for my socket wrench back there. So off to the auto parts store to see if I can find a replacement here. To be continued. Alright, I'm back from the auto parts store. Got my old part on the left, my new part on the right. The only difference is the new one has plastic tines. It's a plastic connector for the arm instead of a metal one. And I learned while I was there that you got to be careful these connectors where the electrical connection goes in. The right part here has 3 pins at the bottom right. And there were other motors that looked identical but had different connectors, and those might be for the temperature valve instead of the fresh air recirculation valve. So make sure you get the right part. So to install this new part, we're basically connecting the electrical connection, which you can see in red down there, to our 3-pin connector here. Probably too dark to see in there. And we'll align the 2 bolts that I removed into these holes. And finally, this white piece on the door itself needs to be aligned correctly into this part of the motor. Everything should fit the way it did when I removed the old one. We'll see how it goes. Alright, I've got my electrical connection on there. And now I just need to position that onto the door.
No sermon.
No. Hold it right there, and that's where my bolt will go in the front, and another one in the back. You'll notice I connected the electrical wires first because it's at the bottom of the motor and it's easier to get to when the thing is not screwed in. And now I'm putting the front bolt on to hold everything securely while I put the back one on. So the front bolt is tightened now. The back one has me nervous because if I drop this, I may never see it again. So I'm going to start it using only the socket and not the wrench first. And I'm using my second hand to make sure I don't drop this thing. Okay, the second bolt is tricky. You don't want to drop it and lose it. I got it started with two hands, using my left hand to hold it in the hole until I got a few threads in at least so it won't drop. And then you just tighten it up. Make sure it's secure, and then take this insulation that you repositioned earlier and just kind of work it back where it's supposed to be. Just like that. Now we should be ready to test our repair, and we'll leave it exposed so we can see what's happening here. You can see the door moving up by itself. No obnoxious clicking noises. If I switch to the recirculate mode on the panel, that door opens up the way it should. It stops where it's supposed to. You can try it a couple times and make sure it's working like it should. I think we're in good shape. So all that's left now is to snap this dash panel back on and put the two door pillar panels, trim panels back on, and no one will be the wiser.